Hello there, Specter RED here with an important discussion on the Project for the New American Century. It's an organization which believes that American leadership is the best thing for the world since sliced bread, and that such leadership requires military strength and force. The current chairman of PNAC is one William Crystal, who first made his mark as a leader with the Project for the Republican Future and rose to fame as a conservative opinion maker during the battle over the Clinton healthcare plan. It is during this time that he advocated the phrase, "There is no healthcare crisis." We all know that's a load of hoopla, but anyways, moving on. Another member of this organization is Robert Kagan, who wrote the book of Paradise and Power, which opens by saying, "It is time to stop pretending that Europeans and Americans share a common view of the world, or even that they occupy the same world," and later admits that the U.S. is quicker to use military force, is less patient with diplomacy, and is more willing to coerce other nations in order to get a desired result. The Project for the New American Century advocates increased military spending, to which the ultimate goal of this organization is a world under their control and influence. It's not surprising that after the 2000 election of George W. Bush, a number of PNAC's members were appointed to office, and many are still in power today. But don't worry, you're not going to have any trouble recognizing some of these names. First off is Louis Scooter Libby, who was the chief of staff for the vice president and was also convicted of 2 counts of perjury, 1 count of obstruction of justice, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison and ordered to pay a fine. But guess what? President Bush commuted the prison sentence, and Libby has yet to serve any jail time. Donald Rumsfeld served as Secretary of Defense until December 2006, when he resigned. Rumsfeld was known for his militaristic attitude and disregard for civil liberty and international agreements. He willfully and illegally violated the Geneva Convention and began the tyranny of torture. 7 days before the 2006 elections, Bush stated that he would support Rumsfeld until the end of his presidency. 1 day after the elections, Bush announced Rumsfeld's resignation. It's no surprise that Congress was now in control of the Democratic Party. Paul Wolfowitz was appointed the Deputy Secretary of Defense in 2001 and later resigned because of controversy in May 2007. However, Wolfowitz became president of the World Bank in 2005, while he was still in office serving the American people. Hello, conflict of interest here, but moving on. Robert Zwelick was appointed Deputy Secretary of State and took office in February 2005. He too later resigned. Zwelick also became president of the World Bank on July 1st, 2007, and is expected to remain in this position until 2012. Zwelick has actually had a very interesting past, including having been a member of, guess who, Enron. I would encourage you to actually Google the name Robert Zwelick and take a look at some of the things that pop up. Elliott Abrams is currently part of the National Security Council and is the Deputy Assistant to the President. Abrams is responsible for overseeing the National Security Council's Directorate of Democracy and Human Rights. In 1991, he pled guilty to withholding evidence and was pardoned by Bush Sr. Randy Schuneman is the president of the Committee for the Liberation of Iraq, which was created by the Project for the New American Century. Schuneman is a board member of PNAC, was Trent Lott's national security aide, and was an advisor to Donald Rumsfeld. He is currently presidential candidate John McCain's foreign aide. Elliot Cohen previously worked for Paul Wolfowitz and became a founding member of PNAC. Cohen was also a member of the Defense Policy Board Advisory Committee, where he was suggested by Richard Pearl. As a member of the Committee of the Liberation of Iraq, he pressed for the Iraqi invasion. In March 2007, Cohen was appointed by Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice to serve as counselor of the State Department. In July 2001, Richard Pearl was appointed chairman of the Defense Policy Board Advisory Committee, which advises the Department of Defense. Later on, Seymour Hersh published the article Lunch with the Chairman in March 2003. In this article, Hersh claimed Pearl would profit financially by influencing government policy and alleged that he had business ties with Saudi investors. Pearl refuted by claiming Hersh was, and I quote, "the closest thing American journalism has to a terrorist." Pearl will also claim that he intended to seek legal action in Great Britain. However, he never pursued this and resigned as chairman in 2003. Pearl does, however, remain as a member of the Defense Policy Board. Moving on to Vice President Richard Cheney is also a member of PNAC and former CEO of Halliburton. Cheney continues to receive compensation from Halliburton and later granted a $7 billion contract to Halliburton for help in Iraq. As a testament to Cheney's character, he was involved in a shooting in which he shot Harry Whittington in the face and neck during a hunting accident. Cheney admitted to drinking during lunch that day, however no breathalyzer test was ever performed, and he did not speak to police until the following day. To date, no charges have ever been filed against Vice President Cheney. Previous to this incident, Vice President Cheney was quoted as telling Senator Leahy to go fuck yourself on the Senate floor. To this day, Cheney supports that a link exists between Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein and supports the the invasion of Iraq, even though no evidence has yet to be found of this supposed link. This comprises only a short list of known participants of PNAC, but there is one more person I'd like to point out. John Ellis Bush, also known as Jeb Bush, the former governor of Florida and brother to the current president George W. Bush. I saved this name for last because PNAC would not have been able to become as influential as it has without the help of Jeb Bush and fellow conservative Katherine Harris, who certified Florida as having elected George W. Bush. This certification only came after the U.S. Supreme Court stopped the recount in Florida, and as a result, we'll never know who really won the election in 2000. All it took was one opportunity to usurp our nation and place it into the hands of the rich and power-hungry. It's no wonder that when William Crystal, the chairman of PNAC, spoke at the University of Texas in 2006, he was asked questions regarding the project for the new American century. Students labeled him as the new Joseph Goebbels, Mr. Traitor, Liar, and Thief, and instead of the questions being answered, the students were removed. So I'll ask you, who's really running this country? But I'll leave you to answer that on your own. If you'd like to contact me, you can email me at specterred@gmail.com. And until next time, this is Specter Red signing off.